What is up? You know what time it is? It's Thursday night. It is time for TCR Live. I am joined as always by two of my top 10 favorite Cardinals fans, right? Kyler Burd, Aarron Van Buren. Gentlemen, it is so good to be with you. Kyler, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Getting through the work week. This is a nice stop off before Friday and going into the weekend. So excited to be here once again.
Nice. Mr. Van Buren, how are you, sir?
I'm fired up. I've been looking to this pretty much the whole week. My birthday is on Saturday. I got a celebratory Miller High Life champagne and beers. And I got a fun week ahead. And, of course, this Talk Cardinals. So, I mean,
nice.
What more could you want?
So I'm doing the craft beer thing, Dr. Robot. It is Monday Night Brewing. It's a local Georgia brewery. It is a blackberry lemon sour. So it's a very hipster sort of beer. So I'm going highbrow here.
I can get down with sours. At least it's not an IPA.
I hate IPAs. Okay, you and me both. I'm just not too hoppy for me. But a good sour, I'm down with it, right?
There are very few IPAs that will get past that door.
100%. Real quick, let's say hey to some of the folks in the chat. We got Class Nasty with the side eyes. What is up? We got Nutsack. The professor insulted me when we last met. Now I'm back with facts. Okay, well.
Oh.
Bringing the fire. Tony Height. Did I just intentionally foul on NBA 2K22 so I made in your time? Yes, I did. Tony Height, you the real MVP. All right. We got Ella on here. Appreciate you being here. So happy to be here. Thanks so much for making my day whenever TCR comes out. Man, you make our day because you're always so thoughtful and kind. Appreciate all your support. We got Diego Perez. Yo, what is up? Diego was a regular part of Mock Draft Monday. Good to see you here. And yes, we are here. So there's something else too, though, because last week, Aarron Van Buren, Mr. Aarron Van Buren kind of let us know that something was coming up, right? Isn't there a special day coming up, sir?
Yeah, birthday's on Saturday.
On Saturday, okay. Well, I thought first, I did a little digging, and I found some old birthday pictures of Aarron, and here we go. The beard game is strong with this one. So his first birthday, Aarron Van Buren, and then found another birthday with pinata. Now, Aarron, I got to say, I was disappointed when I saw this picture that you didn't have the blindfold. But you were the birthday boy, right? So, that's awesome.
I'm using peripheral vision here, and I have terrible vision, so it's pretty much a blindfold.
Okay. So then finally, happy it's almost your birthday, Aarron Van Buren. So I want to just do that as we get started. Happy it's almost your birthday, Aarron Van Buren. A gift to us all in Cardinals world. We are so glad you're here for another trip around the sun.
That's awesome. Although
Happy
I would never appreciate it. I would never wear a bow tie in my entire life. I am team tie till I die.
Okay, that's fair. So anyway, I had to search long and hard for those pictures, but I found them. So
man, I thought you went on the UW Oshkosh website and found like my playing pictures.
Oh, well,
which I didn't play much, just my team roster website page picture, but whatever.
Well, you never know. There might be an occasion for that, so we'll see. So.
Paul G, those were UW Oshkosh Titan colors, black and gold, baby.
Nice. We got Grandizer here. Good day, Joseph, Kyler, and Aarron. Happy early birthday, Aarron. Where is the cake at Joseph? Well, here's the cake. It's right there. Right? It's right there. But yes, we got Paul G. Appreciate you being here. Where's the Aarron pick with Big Red? I know, huh? Right? Yes. So, Aarron, the first pick in Santa colors, no less. And I'm trying to be a master of Photoshop. I'm working on it. I'm self-taught with practice, right? It gets better and better. So thank you, Tony. So anyway, wanted to have a little fun with Mr. Van Buren's birthday. So today what we're going to do is this is the time of summer where, there's kind of a lull in the news in terms of NFL. And this is the time when we kind of start looking ahead and speculating and projecting. So what we thought we would do today is look at some of the different position groupings and talk about some players that we think might take a step forward and a step back this year in terms of their performance, playing time, some aspect of what they do. Excuse me. And just kind of go through that and have a conversation about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with, and I've condensed some groupings together just to kind of for parsimony's sake. We're going to go with quarterbacks and running backs, kind of the backfield folks. So we're going to talk about which players you think will take a step forward, which ones we take a step back. And since you are the birthday boy, wow. Aarron, why don't you get us started with your take of who you think will take a step forward and who you think will take a step back?
Do I have to hit each position, or can it be a forward and a backward out combined?
Oh, we're combining the running backs and quarterbacks into one, so it can be yeah.
I think out of these groups, really, I could only come up with a forward, and that's Benjamin, because besides James Conner, Benjamin, we haven't seen anybody else play in a Cardinals uniform. So when I was looking at it, that kind of, took out of the sample size for me. But I mean, Cliff Kingsbury did say that, Benjamin does have the makings to be a starting running back and someone who's been, pounding the table for him to play, especially with the site expert with Devils in Detail there down below. Former Arizona State guy, I'm really excited to see what he has. And I think this is the year that, because Benjamin has more speed, but who could forget his only touchdown last year when he ran over none other than DK Metcalf puncher Dre Kirkpatrick. He's a great guy. I hope he gets a good shot to show that he's worth more playing time. So I think the only guy I can really say is Benjamin. And I mean, you can say give or take Murray, but Murray has so many weapons that I think he'll probably be at the same level, if not just slightly higher. So I'll go, Benjamin for mine.
Okay, nice. Kyler, what's your thoughts on that?
It's very remarkably close to Aarron's, because this is, out of all the groups, probably the one that I just don't see someone taking a big step back. And I will give an answer to that just because I feel like I have to. But I think Kyler Murray takes a big step forward. I know we've said it every season, and in fact, he has gotten better every season. I think it was just these expectations that we placed on him of the second-year Lamar jump. Okay, well, now it's the third-year Josh Allen jump. And when it didn't necessarily come to those levels, people were disappointed. But he has improved every single year in the metrics that are important to a quarterback. And I think he's going to continue improving because he has an even better offense around him this season. Now, granted, 6 of those games will be without DeAndre Hopkins, as we all know, but still, overall, I think he has a better offense around him than he did in previous years. So I think Kyler Murray takes that step this year into the indisputable elite rank of NFL quarterbacks, because depending on who you ask, he is either there or he was at the bottom. And there's very little opinion of Murray being in between. I think he takes that step. If anyone has to take a step backwards, just in the most literal definition, it'll be probably James Conner, just because it's hard to expect another 18 touchdowns. Like, that's just a crazy season. So I don't think I'm going into the season expecting James Conner to have another 18 touchdown season. Could he? Yes. I don't think he's taking a step backwards talent-wise necessarily. But if we see a step back from anyone in that position, will probably just be in Conner's touchdown production.
Yeah, I think, like, for me, it's tough for the step forward between Kyler and Benjamin. I think those are both great candidates. I mean, Kyler, I think, is going to continue to step forward, but Cliff has been raving about Benjamin, so I'm going to go with Benjamin. I think he's going to get more. Even if Williams ends up taking some of those carries, I think Benjamin is going to take a step forward, be a bigger part of the offense than he was last year. With a step back, I'm going to go with someone who it's really kind of it's probably not a major player, and even by a step back, it's kind of a loose interpretation. I'm gonna go with Jonathan Ward, and by step back, I mean practice squad, right? Because he made the roster last year, and I just think there's so much depth on this running back room that I don't even know if he makes the roster. That being the step back. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Real quick, I want to say hey to some of the folks who just jumped in. We got PC Tree Pack. Sup all, any chance Hopkins suspension gets reduced? Heard 0.01 in his test. I've heard some stuff about that. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like he's going to try, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess he's lobbying for it, but I mean, I wrote about this today on Raising Zona, and we can get into. I looked up the substance. We can get into that and everything, but I mean, but why try to do it when you drop your appeal process? If this is what you want to do all along, then why did you drop it? So it's very rare, I would say, from my experience with the NFL, that they kind of reverse course after they already did this.
Yeah, I think it seems to me, unless there was some compelling evidence that came up that this wasn't intentional and they can trace how it happened on accident, it doesn't seem right. Like that's going to change.
Go off of that. I mean, I'll get into it real quick. The substance was called ostarine, which is basically it tells muscles to grow when it binds to a certain receptor. So basically it can be used for a performance enhancing way. Sometimes it's used in bodybuilding supplements, but it's usually used to prevent muscle wasting in the body. So that's why they give it to like breast cancer patients and people like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not holding my breath, or
right.
holding out hope that it's going to be reduced. Just, if it does, great. Right.
I can't think of an instance off the top of my head where the NFL went back on a decision like this.
Yeah.
Didn't Ben Roethlisberger get a suspension cut down or something?
Did he?
6 to 4?
Maybe. I'm not sure what that was for or when it was. Yeah. But if it is, I mean, even if that happened, it's super rare, right? So,
yeah.
I wouldn't hold my breath on that one. Real quick, Tony has AVP. What's your biggest Cardinals related birthday wish? And what's the best present they could give you?
Well, I did put it down in the comments, but to get like pregame on-field passes and club level tickets, that's all I would ask for. Anything else beyond that, I don't think they would give. But if they were to happen. Gotcha.
Want to say hey to Robert Moore. Appreciate you jumping in here. Let's see. Then we got Kurt. Thanks for being here. Do they also cover Cardinals on YouTube? I'm not sure. Who, us? We do. Oh, here. Kyler has a channel. Aarron does not, but they both write. So I don't know if you were referring to them or someone else, but we do. Let's see. A couple other comments. There's no doubt about it. When he's healthy, Kyler's top 5 quarterback, hands down. Plus, you give him more weapons. Look out. And the O-line and his health was going to determine this year with Kyler. Let's see, Paul G. We will see steps back in position groups due to having more skilled players on offense. Okay. And yes, Jalen Ferguson and Tony Siragusa, 2 Ravens, a current and a former player, passed away. So, it's always tragic. So, life is bigger than football. So certainly, hearts go out to the families of these gentlemen.
Yep. And then also the Cardinals' first ever St. Louis era draft pick, quarterback George Izo, passed away earlier this month, and the news just finally broke. So he was 84.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Any word of what's going on with Hudson?
No.
There are
you tell
rumors.
Me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there's there's tweets going out about people. Rumor is that that it is related to contemplating retirement. So we've talked about that a bit, and I think we all are not very optimistic about that one, right? So Kurt, yeah, so Kyler's YouTube channel, the link should be in the description below, so definitely follow them there. And then both their Twitter accounts and where to find their writing are both also below. So give them a follow. They do good work. All right, so quarterbacks, running backs. So let's look at pass catchers as a group. who do you think is going forward and taking a step forward and taking a step back? Kyler, we'll let you get us started this time.
All right. Step forward. It's partly just because I want it so bad, but also partly because I believe it. I think Rondale Moore is going to take a giant step forward. And not only because he looks like he can, but because he has to. He has to take over the entire slot role right now. He has to take over the production of Christian Kirk. And his rookie season really wasn't that bad. I know his depth of target and everything was great.
Ooh, I see that you did there.
But throwing him back into that Christian Kirk role and giving him more chances, I think he's just going to go up and up. I loved Rondale Moore as a pick back then. I liked his rookie season. I just wish he had been out used a little bit more, but I think he's going to take a giant leap forward. I think 1,000-yard season for Rondale Moore is totally.
You heard it here first.
Nice.
A step back. Again, it might be a technicality when I say a step back, but we're just not going to see the giant statistical season out of DeAndre Hopkins this year, most likely. Cutting 6 games out of your season is rough in of itself, but if anything remotely like what happened to the production of Patrick Peterson coming back from a 6-game suspension and just the time it takes to get back rolling into a season, we're not going to see those giant 1,400-yard seasons from Hopkins that we want to see. So we're going to see a production standpoint step back from Hopkins, and we're just going to have to be okay with that and hope that Marquise Brown takes up a lot of that slack and that A.J. Green is still a serviceable number 2 and Rondale Moore thrives in the slot. But I don't think Hopkins is going to be any less talented before anyone yells at me, because I can feel that happening. I think he's going to be perfectly fine. Larry showed that you can play wide receiver for a really long time at a really high level and have 1,000-yard seasons well into your 30s. So I don't think he's going to be any less talented, but we are going to see a step back in production from him.
Gotcha. Aarron, who are your picks?
Well, I agree with him. We matched on Rondale Moore. I'm not going to reiterate everything you just said because pretty much the same thing. But who's going to go backwards is AJ Green. Too many mouths to feed, especially with the tight ends in the house, and James Conner getting 38 receptions out of the backfield last year and scoring like 4 touchdowns through the air. I think it was at least 3. So it's nothing personal against AJ Green. Like, personally, I'm over the Rasul Douglas game, but I know a lot of fans aren't, and it's hard to forget. I don't know why I can forgive him more than I can't forgive Early Doucette for tripping against the Bengals. So that's my pick. AJ Green go backwards and Rondale Moore forward.
Sorry, I had myself muted. Sometimes there are things that make me worry. And one of those things is when I'm completely in agreement with Aaron Van Buren. Sorry. It's your birthday. I had to take a few shots. Shots fired. Oh, man. No.
Or these kind of shots.
Yeah. So I think Rondale Moore is the guy to take the step forward. He's going to be the number 1 slot receiver. Hopefully they target him, ahead of the line of scrimmage, right? Because I'm sure there was a great tweet by Kyle Odegaard that basically Rondale Moore had more yak yards than he had receiving yards.
I saw that.
His average depth of target was 1.3 last year, and Andy Isabella's whole career has been 6.3.
Yeah. So, that's not, and listen, I get them using the way I don't mind them using him for bubble screens and jet sweeps. He's the perfect guy for those things, but I want them to also use him, in other routes. So I do think he gets more looks, and he was banged up down the stretch last year too, but his usage did go down. I think he's for an increase, and I agree. AJ Green will see I think he'll see fewer targets, but my hope with AJ Green is there are more quality targets, right? Because when you look at it, the first 6 weeks, AJ Green is going to be a big part of the offense with Hopkins out. But when Hopkins is back, Hopkins, Brown, Moore, I think AJ Green might not be on the field as much. He'll be out. They'll get him out there. But unless someone gets injured, I think he's just, he's going to see fewer targets and fewer snaps. Yeah. So I'm definitely kind of with you there on Green. Let me say hey to I think we had a couple other comments. Let's see. I actually think we said hi to everyone, but let's see. Well, we do have a question. This is a good question. How many 1,000-yard seasons do you think Hopkins has left in him?
How old is he?
What is it? It's like 30.
I'll look it up right now.
Yeah.
Then
he's 30, right on the dot.
Okay. So yeah. So how many 1,000-yard seasons do you think he has in him still?
3.
Kyler, what do you think?
I mean, I'm looking up how many Larry had after 30. He had plenty. Well, Larry had 3, really close to 4. All of that's possible. The way people in the NFL seem to be able to take care of their bodies now compared to even when like the Jerry Rices played, it's a big difference. He could easily have 3 to 4 1,000-yard seasons left in him, and I have zero doubts about that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think 3.5 is the over/under number, right? That where you're trying to kind of pick, like with this suspension and the fact that the Cardinals are trying to get a lot of different pass catchers, and when he was healthy last year, they kind of spread the ball around, right? They weren't targeting him as heavily, so I don't think he gets 1,000 yards this year. I hope he does, but I don't think he does. Between the suspension and that, but I think 3 is a good number. I think we just lost Aarron. Probably has a technical issue. I'm sure he'll be back. But I want to real quick, while we're at it, take a second and say a huge thanks to Matthew Runyon, a longtime supporter of the channel. Hey, Joe and the crew, happy to be here for live this time. Want to say, Joe, that you're the choice to be an optimistic fan. Paper was to thank you. I appreciate that, Matthew. If you didn't see it, I wrote kind of an essay on the choice of being an optimistic fan, and Walter Mitchell was kind enough to include it in an article. So thank you. I really appreciate that. If you haven't checked it out, it's on Revenge of the Burd. You can probably search my name, Revenge of the Burd, and find it. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Matthew's a longtime supporter. A long time ago, was like, hey, when are you going to get monetized so we can support you? And here you are with the super chat. So really appreciate that. And let's see. Okay, so appreciate that. Sorry, had a message. So and there's Aaron Van Buren. So thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the support, Matthew. You've been a long time great supporter. Really appreciate that. And yeah, Tony wrote a really thoughtful, detailed kind of response. It really just was really appreciated too as well. So of course, whenever we get a super chat, the thing that we must do is toast the super chatters. So thank you, Matthew. I appreciate the support. I appreciate everyone who supports. Aaron froze. So, okay. We're glad you're back, Aaron. Okay, so so back to the position group. So we went with receivers. Next, we're gonna look at the offensive line. Step forward, step back. Aaron, get us started with this since you are the offensive lineman. Who do you think is going to take a step forward? Who do you think takes a step back?
Yeah, I saw some comments right before, technological troubles cut me off there. Someone was concerned about Justin Pugh, and there's no reason to. The only real thing from switching from guard to center is a lot of the mental things. And it sounds cliche, but you're in control of that a lot as an offensive lineman. It's just down to you to really get into learning your calls and just seeing things from that position. Because you get down in your stance, you got one hand on the ball, you can only move and look around so much. So communication is going to have to increase, but that's something, like I said, is controllable. And then it just comes down to just being smart and just playing like a guard, but just thinking you're moved over one spot. And but before I dribble on, that's where I'm going to end that. So I want to say Justin Pugh is going to take a step forward. As for backward, I sat here for a little bit thinking about this one, but I think it's going to be Kelvin Beachum. I just don't know why, but I don't think that he's going to be a solid right tackle. I mean, he's a great guy, and there's no doubt. But I just remember there were a lot of times where Beachum had to, we call it a run by, where you put the hand on the defender's hip and you push him out. It can be a great thing, if it helps the quarterback make a play, but that means you're usually giving up the original pocket. And there was a lot of that, especially coming from the right side last year. And after he got hurt and it was the Josh Jones thing and whoever else, Justin Murray, it was a mess. So I think Beachum's going to take a step back.
Okay. Kyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm also in agreement with Aarron. So happy birthday, dude. Taking a step back, I have the same feeling about Kelvin Beachum. I don't even know if I have anything to back that up, but I just feel like that is going to be the case. I think we've gotten some very productive years out of Kelvin Beachum. He's been more than serviceable at the position. Again, I don't know why I have this feeling about what he's doing. I think Aarron froze again, by the way. But a step forward, I'm going to agree with Elwin in the comments. I saw he said something about Will Hernandez. I think he is going to have a big step forward, coming back with his college coach, Sean Kugler, just getting closer to the form that he had in college when he was a great offensive lineman at UTEP, drafted really high in the second round, and he had a great rookie season. And I'm sure a lot of things happened inside the building in New York in the years since that impacted his development. But I think he definitely has a chance of coming here and getting right back on track. So I think Will Hernandez makes a really big step forward. I was going to say DJ Humphries, but I think the down moments of DJ last season will just sort of regress back to the mean of what I think he really was in 2020. I think he'll get better, but if we're talking about a big step forward, I think Will Hernandez is going to take that noticeable step and be a really quality starting right guard.
Yeah, I like all of those responses. Welcome back, Aarron. You're having a heck of a birthday.
Yeah, I know, right?
So for my step forward, I did go with DJ Humphries. DJ Humphries has been up and down in his career. But the year before this past season, he was the number 4 rated tackle per PFF.
Yeah, he was good in 2020.
Yeah, and then he took a step back and was kind of, a low end starting tackle in terms of his grade. And I think he's been up and down, but I think the talent is there. I think he'll take a step forward or at least get closer to kind of what he has been in the past. And I agree with Beachum. Beachum is 33 years old. He's been a really good value starting, you can't build your whole roster with all blue chip guys. You need some budget veterans who are serviceable, and Beacham's been that, but I think time's going to catch up with him, and I think Beachum takes a step back. Is Josh Jones the answer right tackle? So I think Josh Jones has played better as a tackle than a guard. He was a good tackle in college. So yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him get some snaps. Unfortunately, if they don't sign a center and Pugh plays center, I fear that they might be playing Josh Jones at guard again. So yeah, I went with Humphries and then Beachum as well. Yeah, knee deep, as his nickname was not good last year. Question: will we extend DJ before the season or before the season? I mean, I kept thinking they were going to, right? I mean, because of the cap hit, but they haven't yet. So I do think they're trying to get some cap relief, but he might want to wait. He might want to kind of, I mean, listen, I know he's had a bad year, but but as he said, left tackles don't grow on trees. So I don't know, but I think Kyler's extension, I think it happens probably within the next couple of weeks. I think so. I think they're probably kind of working on that now. So we'll see, though, right? So, okay, we got through the offensive line. Now, I've grouped the defensive front seven, defensive linebackers all together. So, oh no, Paul, I said one of them was taking a step forward. One forward, one back. So just to clarify, but so now we're getting linebackers, defensive line. Kyler, why don't you get us started with your pick for this position group?
Okay. I will start with step forward. I think Zach Allen's going to take a step forward this year. If he gets that full uninterrupted season without any injury problems, which I don't think he's had yet, he's either had major injuries or nagging injuries that have sort of hindered his development every year since he's been drafted. I like Zach Allen a lot. He's decent in the run game, and he's shockingly good at getting to the quarterback. I think he takes that step forward, and you see a little bit of a different type of pressure from Vance Joseph this year if you get a healthy Zach Allen and a healthy J.J. Watt. That just changes where the pressure is coming from a little bit as compared to the years when we really heavily relied on Chandler Jones at outside linebacker bringing the pressure. So having that interior pressure, I think, is only going to help, and I think Zach Allen has what it takes to take that big step forward there.
Okay.
A big step back. Oh.
That's a tough one because to one degree, the whole group played kind of badly that they all need to take a step forward with a few exceptions, right? Yeah.
Aarron, do you want to give your step forward while I think about
Let me real quick though. Someone's asked what his Zach Allen's run grade is, his run defense, and I was looking that up. His run defense grade was 45.1, so which is not good. He's definitely better at pass rushing or has been. So, yeah. So that's not great. So, but Aarron, do you want to go and then buy Kyler some time?
So this may actually spur, but I'm going to start with forwards. I'm going to spur some discussion here. Since you kind of combined, I'm just going to take the most that I think is going to go. So I'm going to say step forward is going to be Rashard Lawrence. He did play pretty good, and when he was in there, of course, just like pretty much all of our nose tackles did last year, battle with injuries. But I really feel like he can be a difference, especially because he's our biggest thing to like a true nose tech that you'd see traditionally back in the day. I don't know why I keep bringing up Casey Hampton, but that was just one big boulder of a man who played for Pittsburgh. And then who I think is actually going to go backwards is Zach Allen.
Ooh.
I don't know. Maybe it's just another one of my hunches here, but I just remembered not. It's kind of like I have this kind of trust issue with him, kind of like I have with Marcus Golden. Anytime he gets into the backfield, especially after last year, Marcus Golden always missed tackles in the backfield and killed us, especially the Chicago game. Oh my God. But I don't know. I wasn't really enthused with the Zach Allen pick. I mean, he kind of paid off when he had that scoop score against the Seahawks in the penultimate game of the year, final game of the regular season. So I'm just going with Zach Allen on the hunch.
Okay. Kyler, did you have a fallback? If you don't, that's okay.
I'm struggling to come up with someone in the group. I think he's going to take a step back. I think Zaven Collins only has steps forward to make just because
about that
of playing time. I do think so, because he was so limited in playing time last season that if he truly is out there for 90% plus of the snaps, I think he only has steps forward to make there.
Right. And I want to just interject for a quick second. Then let's have that same mindset for Zaven Collins that we did with Isaiah Simmons, because I've seen a lot of stuff about Simmons was such a terrible pick. The guy could even start last year. And I'm like, dude, the guy, I mean, we have to have the same approach with both these guys because they can be really good players. Thank you, Elwin. So that's all I wanted to say.
I'm with you on that, Aaron. I've been, I haven't talked about it a lot, but like anytime I do, I'm never like, oh, Simmons is a bust. We don't know yet. I'm waiting for year 2, just like Collins, waiting for year 2 with Collins, just like with Simmons. Now, if Collins doesn't play significant snaps, then I'm worried, right? But yeah, I mean, rookie years, it's too early to call to kind of throw the towel in on a player, right?
Oh, I totally agree on both of them. If I'm going to pick another person out of this grouping, it's going to be another step forward, not a step back. So I'm breaking the rules.
Yeah.
Yes, Simmons over Wirfs. Yes.
How dare you break the rules that we're making up as we go?
The arbitrary rules.
Foiled again.
I think Simmons takes that step forward this year.
Yeah.
I haven't been on the bad Isaiah Simmons train. I was okay with a pick back then. I did think Zaven Collins the next year at the same position was odd. But I'm here for Isaiah Simmons to continue progressing because he has that athletic freakishness that as soon as the game at the NFL level clicks, he's a freak.
Plus, how could you not love that press conference he did?
Yeah, it was so good.
I was very impressed with his poise and maturity and leadership.
Absolutely.
Right, and it came as a little bit of a surprise to me because he was so quiet for so long. But I'm like, that's like the Adrian Wilson of the linebackers growing up before our very eyes.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Carlos Hyde.
And I also think without that really old veteran presence and legendary presence of Chandler Jones in that area of the locker room, Isaiah Simmons is going to take that step forward into a leadership role. He's got 2 rookies in that area with him. Chandler Jones isn't the lord of the land anymore. So I think he's going to take that step into a leadership role. And once that clicks, I think it's going to be off for him. I think Simmons is going to take a step forward this year.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick note to everyone in the chat. I see there's a lot of questions in there. When we'll come back to some of those questions. So I just want you to know I'm not completely ignoring those. Just if you're wondering, but so I will get to some of those questions once we get through this. So for me, I also went with Rashard Lawrence for a step forward. I know, Aaron. I really need to reconsider, right? I'm concerned, right?
I just,
but I'm bullish on his talent as a run stopper. When he came back, and the only concern for me with Lawrence is staying healthy. But when he came back from injury, Cardinals' run defense was bad all year for the most part, with the exception of a few games. And I remember when he came back, watching him inserted in the lineup, he could stop the run. He was actually good against the run. One of the few players who were. He graded 70.3 against the run, which is decent for PFF. Certainly it's better than, pretty much the only better run defenders grade-wise were Devin Kennard and Zaven Collins in limited snaps then Joe Walker on limited snaps, Deontay Thompson on limited snaps, but like in terms and Antonio Hamilton, but he got out of cornerback. But interior, no one else was better at stopping the run. 70s is a good PFF grade. So I think as long as he can stay healthy, he's going to be a really important player in that interior defensive line against the run. For step back, I'm going to go a little bit. I almost feel like blasphemous saying this because the person I'm going to go with is one of my favorite Cardinals players, but it's not. But I've got a reason for it that isn't about his talent. My step back player is Marcus Golden, and the reason I'm saying that is not because I don't think he's good. I love him as a pass rusher. I think he's an underrated pass rusher. I love the way he plays the game. But with Jones gone, the attention's going to be on him as the primary pass rusher. So, teams might scheme like him and JJ Watt if Watt, as the guys you kind of stop and force whoever's on the other side, whether it's a rookie or Devin Kennard or Dennis Garlick, force one of those guys to beat them. So I just wonder if Golden's going to start getting that number one pass rusher treatment, and not because he's taken a step back in terms of player talent, but because of the attention he's getting. Does he take a step back statistically?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And I love Marcus Golden as a player. I've got a golden jersey. Yeah. So yeah, hope it's not the case, right? But there's a thought there that I think makes some rational sense. So, any other thoughts of the defensive front seven? Kyler, do you want to give us any more step forwards since you're kind of hoarding those? No, okay.
Slacker.
I'm good.
Okay. So let's get into the defensive backs. Okay, so we're gonna look at the defensive backs, safeties, cornerbacks combined, and we'll let Aarron go first here. Who is your step forward, step back?
I'm going to start with the backward here. Going to be Marco Wilson, just because I didn't like the pick. I didn't like either of the picks. I think they waited way too long last year to even address the cornerbacks. They already traded Tay Gowan, so that kind of tells you what they're thinking of these corners already. And Marco Wilson would have never seen the field had Alfred never gotten hurt. So once again, Marco Wilson gets the Byron Murphy treatment 2.0. And it's just one thing, it was a rookie year, short, thrown into the fire. He's going to struggle, and that's acceptable because everybody does, in any aspect of stuff that they do. But it's just something that sits with me. I can't get over that shoe incident when he was in college. I know it's weird, but I mean, people change. That's totally there. But it's eating in the back of my head that something like that could end up being like a Dre Kirkpatrick punching DK Metcalf, second time referenced it here tonight. That is just incredibly mind numbing, and it's just like a mistake that gets made that shouldn't be made. Plus, I also think he got picked on quite a bit last year, and teams are going to be, just licking their chops to try to target him. So there is that for Marco Wilson. My forward is Byron Murphy. And I'm speaking this into existence because he has to improve. Because he had an improvement in terms of interceptions, especially get that pick six against Jacksonville week 2. But the completion percentage, just bring it down 5%, 6%. If he can do that, then the Cardinals are going to be in good hands for most of the year. But also, I think, didn't Murphy get hurt for the Dallas game, right? Murphy missed time a little bit, I thought.
I know Wilson got banged up. I thought Murphy was healthy all year. I thought Alfred was out.
Murphy had some ankle issues kind of earlier in the season. I don't know that he missed any games, but he was hobbling around for a while.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the thing, because the safeties are going to be working overtime on this team, and it's going to be good for their stat sheet, and if they have bonuses in their contract, great. But also at the same time, it's a bad thing if they're the stars of your team. So, Byron Murphy's got to step up, just knock 6, 7 to 8 to 11 more passes down, and we'll be set.
Okay. Kyler.
Okay. So I kind of think I'm going to go the exact opposite of Aarron. I expect and truly hope to see a step forward from Marco Wilson, both because I think he has that type of talent, and also because he has to, kind of like Aaron's reasoning for Byron Murphy. Marco Wilson stepping up into a bigger role, I think, will help everything across the board. And I'm not incredibly concerned about what happened his rookie season. just because you know how rookie quarterbacks are. That is a rough position to play your first season in the NFL, and he was definitely taken advantage of, as quarterbacks should take advantage of rookie cornerbacks. I think he has a lot of that coverage, and I think he has the man press ability and the speed and the flip to do all that sort of stuff. I think he's going to take a step up to where he's, if not a great or good, he is a serviceable outside cornerback, and that's for where we are in our secondary right now. That's going to be good enough, I think. So getting him to that position, I think he's going to take that step forward. Step back, and I kind of think Byron Murphy's taking a step back. So I'm the exact opposite of you, Aarron. Byron Murphy has been so up and down in what we've seen out of him. And I know that the way he started out his rookie season was just about the worst possible way you could throw a rookie at that position into the game. So he was done absolutely zero favors with how it all worked out for him. But there's just something in the way you watch him play that I don't love. I think he's good. I think he's even at the level of a good cornerback. But all the expectations of him taking this leap into a great cornerback have not panned out, and I just don't see that happening.
Even though Byron Murphy has continually allowed less completion percentage each of the last 3 years.
He's gotten better. I'm not denying that. He has gotten better the past 3 years. I'm just saying in the role that he has been asked and needed to play, he's not there yet.
I'll agree with that, because the Cardinals, I mean, no matter what we do with cornerbacks, our corners just can't seem to get interceptions.
I know. Yeah.
Patrick Peterson only had 20 interceptions in what, a freaking 7-8 year span. Like that's not even good enough to break into the top 50 of the Hall of Fame. And we're not getting into that discussion, but we need more ball hawks. And that's why, I don't know, there's so many other shoulda, woulda, couldas with that, but that's what I'll say.
My faith in my decision-making has been restored, because I agree with one of you, and it's not Mr. Aarron Van Buren.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Oh, man.
It's happened too many times tonight.
What did I get you for your birthday, Aarron? I got you shade. That's what I got you for your birthday.
Wow, did you think I was going to try to super chat or subscribe thing in here? But okay.
Oh, man. I was waiting for that random $1.37.
It was going to be $3 this time.
Oh, man. I am so sorry, dude.
I was thinking wow, because it wouldn't go through. I'm like, maybe he turned them off because he didn't want to see $1.71 donated. I'm just Google Play credit surveys. I'm trying to help you out as a thanks for letting me have airtime.
Oh, man. So Marco Wilson had a really rough rookie year. You know, he graded, was it 48.6, I think was his overall grade. Yes. His coverage grade was 47.8. But cornerbacks, cornerbacks struggle their first years often and usually see improvements in their second and third years. If not always, but I do think he'll be better. I don't know how much better. But he got a lot of playing time. He's got the physical tools. The questions with him have always been the decision making, and he does need to work on that. But it's to some degree, it's a shortcut because it is a low bar because he graded as poorly as he did. But I think in year 2, with that experience under his belt, I think he's going to be better. With Murphy, I like Murphy as a player. I think the Cardinals have bounced him around. His rookie year, he had to be the number 1 cornerback because of the PED suspension and the lack of depth on the roster. And then in year 2, they moved him to the slot where he was better. And they played him in the slot, he got better. But then last year, they did this thing where, they would play him on the outside and the slot and kind of bounce him back and forth, depending on whether they were in their base or their nickel. And if they had just stuck him in the slot or maybe just have him be the number 2 outside cornerback consistently. If they commit to one of those roles with him, I think he would have been. I think his development would have been better. I think, or at least his performance. And I just worry with what's going on at cornerback. Obviously with the tragic loss of Jeff Gladney, they're probably going to bring a veteran in, so maybe that changes things. But it just feels like we're in for another season of them kind of putting him in moving him around and trying to play him as a number 1 cornerback. And I just don't think that's, kind of where he thrives. So I just think all that inconsistency leads to a good possibility of him taking a step back. So I hope that's not the case, but we'll see. So we got through the position groups. What's up, Aaron?
Tony's
got, let's see. Oh, he wants to say, and sign Kevin King, right? Oh,
good night.
And I'm gone. All right. So, okay. So we're going to do a little Q&A for y'all. And we'll start. Tanner's been asking a lot of questions very patiently. Who are some last minute free agents you think we should sign? Aaron, who are some of the free agents you think the Cardinals should bring in? Give a couple of names. I know we've talked about this a little bit before. We'll probably talk about it again. But who are some players you really want to see them bring in?
I want them to crush Raiders fans' hearts, hopes, and dreams by stealing the Ndamukong Suh, by giving him an offering he can't refuse, because the Cardinals need that guy. One of our followers on Arizona called him a dog, D-A-double-G, or D-A-W-G, but I can't spell today. And that's exactly what it is. And a complete guy who can walk the walk and talk the talk, and should be a great piece on the defensive line. I mean, it's been the same free agents for me. Like Joe Hayden's got to be out there. Definitely Highness for sure. There was one other one that I thought that they should sign. Oh, well, I will say this. I really think they should have signed Justin Jackson and not Josh Jackson for the tryout, because I think the versatility that could have come from Justin Jackson on offense from what he did when he had to replace Austin Eckler in LA last year would have been a great guy to at least keep around on the practice squad. So those are my 3.
Okay. Kyler, what about you?
I'm going to go the one that I've been talking about the entire offseason. I still think we should sign Linval Joseph. He's still out there. We have not done anything in free agency, in the draft, to address the interior of the defensive line. And with the running issues that we had last season, it seems irresponsible to not do something about that. Linval Joseph's been a very good run stopper throughout his career. He does not have big pass rushing numbers or anything like that. But if you have a massive need at a position that was specifically really bad at one thing, and there's a player out there who you can have for, I would imagine at this point, this deep into the offseason, pretty cheap, even on a 1-year deal. I don't know why you don't bring someone like that in, who's proven it year in and year out that is his bread and butter, is stopping the exact same thing that gouged you for an entire season. So I'm still 100% on board the Linval Joseph train. Everything else, I don't think they're bringing in another cornerback. I think Josh Jackson was the move at cornerback, just like Jeff Gladney was the move at cornerback earlier in the offseason.
Yikes.
And I've come around to your position, Joe, that I don't think we're bringing in another type of veteran edge rusher. I think we are running with who we have drafted and who we have. So the only reasonable one I see on the whole roster is on that interior defensive line. And Linval Joseph's still out there. So go get him for cheap. I don't see why not.
Okay. What, anyone else you wanted? You can have more than one. Aaron got us 3. It's if you don't have them though, that's okay.
I was going to say, Mono brought up Will Fuller when we did the wide receiver depth chart.
Yeah.
Will Fuller would be the sixth guy in or sixth guy on the depth chart, and let the war for the battle roster spots begin.
Well, the only other thing I would say is at cornerback, if at all possible, you bring back Robert Alford, which it seems like that's a possibility, but they've just seemed to have been talking for a really long time. And I agree with some of the people that Joe Hayden wouldn't be a bad move there as the veteran presence in the cornerback room. I think that would be a decent move, but my preference would be Robert Alford.
I would tell you, I don't. There's one thing where I kind of have I don't agree with you, Kyler, in terms of my opinion of what I think is going to happen. And we'll see, right? I do think they're going to bring in another cornerback. I like the Josh Jackson signing.
I do too.
I think he's a similar type of signing as Gladney, a guy who was drafted high, hasn't performed well, but has the potential. I like taking a shot on him. But, like they talked about it, the mini camp, they were assessing the players that they had. And then in between when mini camp ended, sometime between then and when training camp starts, they talked about they were going to look at who they needed to bring in. So I think they are going to bring in some vets. I think they will bring in a cornerback. It could be Robert Alford. It could be a Joe Hayden. For me, I mean, Hayden, I think, has been healthier through his career. Alford is familiar, and they know him in the room. I would go with either of those guys. Maybe I lean a little towards Alford because of what he did for us last year. But either one of those guys, I agree with you that they need defensive line help. I just have a different name that I like. You probably know who I'm going to go with. Danny Shelton is a little younger. He's a guy who would probably be cheap. He's been good against the run. He's the kind of guy you need to stick in the middle there. Linval Joseph would be great as well. But someone like that. And then a center. Jeez, like Treader, Paredes. There's a couple other names. JC Treader would be my first choice. But those would be the three. But yeah, edge rusher, I know a lot. You reference this, a lot of people are saying they need to get a veteran edge rusher. I don't think they're going to. And part of me actually doesn't want them to. I want to see Golden on one side, and I want to see a rotation and see those rookies get some playing time. I think there's some talent. There's some good talent between Cameron Thomas, Majai Sanders. I think one or both those guys in a rotation is gonna have a little bit of success, even in the rookie year. If you bring in a veteran pass rusher, I mean, last couple of years they've usually kept about 5 guys on those outside linebacker positions. Okay, so they've got Marcus Golden, Devin Kennard. They're keeping those guys both on the roster. They're keeping the 2 rookies unless something unexpected happens. Okay, then you've got Gardeck. So Demikaiji's already a kind of a bubble guy, it seems like. So if you bring in a veteran, Gardeck, one of the rookie, like which one of those 5? I know fans would probably say let Kennard go, but Kennard was good against the run last year. He's a veteran. They're going to keep him. So I'm not sure as much as people wanted, an outside edge rusher, I'm not sure that I even want them to do that. So maybe that's a little bit of a unpopular opinion. Get a guy in the interior who's going to be better pass rush if you want to do that. But I don't know. So questions in the chat. Yes, we're doing questions now. So if you got questions, get them in there. Let's see. Talking about very possible we sign Alfred, but I'll take Hayden. Yep. Did you guys see that Jeff Okuda chatter? I saw some people talking about trading for him. I don't know that it was from a legitimate source. I don't know. Did you guys see anything about that or hear anything about that?
That's the first time I'm hearing this. That's news to me.
Might not start for Lions on the outside.
He'll go to Jacksonville.
Yeah, maybe, right? Let's see. We got a question. With Kimes moves for agency and his contract extensions, I think this team views this year as a throwaway year. What do you guys think? Aarron, what do you think?
It's a really interesting question. If that was the case, then God, I'm trying to figure out how to even answer this because it's a very loaded question. I don't think it is a throwaway year. You got Kyler Murray on basically the very last year of his rookie deal before you got to give him that massive contract. And so this, if you are going to win a Super Bowl, I mean, it's got to be this year, and all you need is a ticket to get in, because that's what the 2008 team did. Yeah, they were the lowest division winning team, the 4 seed, but it doesn't matter. You get your chance, you go all the way. I mean, look at the Bengals. So I think it's a much more critical year. Like I've been saying all along, this is a year to show that, okay, this is, for Kingsbury and Khem, this is why we got 5-year extensions. Like, this is why this system was put in place, because I mean, for the first 7 games, I mean, everything looked, I mean, we were challenging Miami Dolphins 72, the 72 Dolphins for 7 weeks straight. It all fell apart. So it's just finding the way to take the next step, and also keep the guy who's going to be your highest paid player pretty much, within the next X amount of days. So it's not a throwaway year.
Kyler, what do you think?
Yeah, I completely agree. This is a critical year, if anything. You don't waste a year of talent and youth of someone like Kyler Murray on a throwaway year. Especially, this is the last year where the entire starting offensive line is on contract. That entire thing has to be figured out next year. There's stuff coming down the road that's really going to have to be figured out. And just the entire makeup of the team after we have to give Kyler Murray so much money. That's when it's going to get really difficult. This is, if anything, your shot year to go in, which is why the offseason has been kind of disappointing for a lot of Cardinals fans, because it does seem like this would be the year to go like Rams style all in and try to win the whole thing. So it's been disappointing to see it not be as aggressive as we think it should be. But I really, really doubt that's the mentality in that building. I think they just have most of the team that went 7-0 last year and think that they can take whatever juice they had the first half of that season, make it go a whole season and into the playoffs. I think that is probably their mindset. I don't think it's a throwaway year at all. I think it's a really, really crucial year for the success of the Kyler Kingsbury experiment that Bidwell took a really big chance on a few years ago.
Yeah. No one in that building thinks this is a throwaway year. When you have a quarterback who's entering his prime, you're taking a shot every year. I know Cardinals fans are frustrated. They're frustrated about the way the season ended last year, the way it's ended previous years. They're frustrated because they wanted to see big moves and the Cardinals did not take big moves. I get all that. And there's we kind of get stuck in the moment and recency, and we're like, oh, look what the Rams did. They won a Super Bowl last year. They traded for Matthew Stafford. Look at all the money they're spending. But if you look at them, they also had some guys leave in this offseason. So it's not all added for them. Robert Woods and guys like that.
Andrew Whitworth, Von Miller.
Absolutely. They lost a lot of guys too. But I'm going to say something that I often say, and I'm the old man with the old gray beard, but I've been watching football for a long time. I know there's a few people in the chat have been watching it longer, but I've been watching for a long time, since like the 90s. And I'm just telling you, if you have a quarterback who can get hot, who has the talent, if you have a top 10 to 15 quarterback, especially one who can get hot, and you have some collection of talent on offense and defense. It doesn't have to be even top 10 talent on both sides, but some collection of talent and a quarterback can do it. If you can get into the playoffs, you've got a puncher's chance. I mean, look at the Giants Super Bowls with Eli Manning beating the Patriots. 2 of those. Eli Manning, if you don't remember, was never a top 5 quarterback. He maybe was borderline top 10, more fairly a top 15, but he could get streaky. Those Giants teams were not loaded with star receivers across the board. They've had a few in there, right? But there's a reason some of those big catches, guys like David Tyree, right? They didn't have elite talent everywhere. The Ravens had a good defense and Joe Flacco and won it. So like
Brad Johnson, 2001
right.
Bucks.
So now listen, I get it that
whatever.
I get that if you have more talent, you have a better chance. But I've also seen attempts at super teams that fell flat. I don't know if anyone remembers the Eagles put in a super team with right. Nami Anasawa or whatever his name is, Asama.
Yep.
Asamoah. I'm just telling you, like this, the way some folks are approaching this is the Cardinals are going to lose because they didn't do enough. They're destined to fail. That's just history shows that there's just a lot of unpredictability. So what the Cardinals are doing here, all right, is they are trying to make a youth movement. They haven't been playing their rookies, their younger players enough. Well, they're going to do that more this year, right? They're trying to win now and plan and develop for the future. And can we question some of the moves or lack of moves? Yeah, absolutely. But they're trying. They don't see it as a throwaway year. They believe they can win, and I believe they can. So yeah. Okay, so there's my soapbox. Let's get to some of the more questions. What do you think about the rumors? Robert Quinn for Andy Isabella. What do you think about that, Aarron?
Oh, I got half excited there because I thought you said Robert Woods.
Robert Quinn, the pass rusher for the Giants. I think Kyler had an issue with his battery and his phone. I think so. I'm not sure if he'll be able to be back or not. But yeah. So what do you think about that? There he is.
Nice. So I think it's a fair trade. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not. But I want it to happen. And just because some radio analyst plays some Reaper theme on the radio doesn't mean it's not going to not happen or whatever I'm trying to say. So I think it's a fair trade. It would be a need for both to be win-win. And, I don't see why it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I think Kyler's having a little trouble getting back in here.
My camera is just off. Had charging issues with my computer, but I can hear you guys.
Okay, good. So what do you think? The question, the rumor of Robert Quinn for Andy Isabella.
I really had not heard that much about that till this morning. Would I love it? Yeah. I just don't think that Andy Isabella has that type of trade pull right now. Mm-hmm. If he was gonna get moved in a trade, I think that would have happened before the draft. Without that, I just haven't seen any indications that any team in the league has been willing to submit a reasonable offer for him. And if 31 other teams don't want him with a guy with that type of speed, then he seems like a post-training camp type of cut at this point. I don't see him having the inherent worth to have a player-for-player trade at this point.
Yeah, I think that he doesn't have that kind of trade value. Best case scenario is maybe we get a late day 3 pick from a team who wants Isabella, wants to guarantee they get him rather than hope they can sign him when he gets cut, like a 6th or 7th round pick, and that's like a best case scenario. I think most teams, like, I don't think anyone's looking at Isabella just chopping, kind of really chomping at the bit to sign him. I think, or to trade for him. I think if he gets cut, someone's going to take a look at him. But yeah, I know Robert asked this earlier, and this is definitely a topic. Frustrated with the lack of fact that the Cardinals knew before the draft that Hudson was contemplating retiring, and they didn't draft a center. Right. So this is a big kind of topic, people have been talking about. And there's Kyler, the full Kyler. Hey, so what are your thoughts on this, Aarron? That this is something fans have been frustrated about, because now word comes out that the rumor is that Hudson is contemplating retirement, and the Cardinals did know about this since before the draft. So thoughts on that?
I think the term I used in one of my articles is draft negligence by Steve Keim. Because it's been 3 years in a row where no offensive lineman has been picked in a decent round. I mean, yeah, people are like, oh, well, Michael Manet, he's going to make the team. I'm like, he's a 7th round guy, like the high 260s, 7th round. Like, no, he didn't make it. And, we'll see if Lecitus Smith and who's the other guy they drafted?
Marquise
Hayes.
Marquise Hayes. Yeah, we'll see if those guys make it because they're a little higher. But I know it's just been. I mean, you technically can go back, and technically there is a potential, revival of the Simmons-Wirfs conversation at this point. But at the same time, though, when I was looking at that draft, I wanted Simmons or Wirfs. Both of them were there. I saw it as a win-win either way. So for the Cardinals to not really do this, then why in your living minds would you trade for another wide receiver when you have an above average depth out of any other team in the league? You saw the position that got hit worse after someone left as a starter between Hopkins and receivers and Hudson at the center position was Hudson. Murray had no time to even exist. So this just baffles me because I think someone else said that some reporter did, let it put the word out that Linderbaum would have been the pick. In that case, hey, we would have been fine. Like, okay, hey, no skin off my back. We got one of the best centers in the league or in the draft, and let's see what happens. But it is a very frustrating thing, and I mean, I just go back to how the Cowboys got Dak Prescott off the ground and running. They had a ridiculous offensive line, and it's still, above average. And that's how Dak was able to ascend to the status that he is. Now, I'm not saying Dak is a freaking world beater, but he's a top 12 quarterback. And I've seen some quarterback rankings that do not have Murray in the top 12. So, I mean, you kind of you kind of lie in the bed that you make. So, and that's what the Cardinals have to live with here. Now, is it just a PR move to get a wide receiver and get the flashy and the sexy picks so the fans all kind of calm down? I highly doubt they thought of that in that route. But from our perspective, that's kind of the only way we have to really look at it. So what's more important to you? Your inability to block and throw bubble screens, revert to 2019, or put someone there in the center and actually evolve your offense that would have actually happened had you actually got an offensive coordinator. And this whole thing has become an absolute muddy water situation. I'm not mad at Hudson if he's retiring due to personal reasons. Hey, great. It's all you. But I'm mad at the situation the Cardinals are in because we could be getting what's his name? Cornerback that retired last year.
Malcolm
Butler. We could be getting Malcolm Butler for the second year in a row. And rant.
Kyler.
I tweeted about it earlier today as well because, like every fan, I feel that type of frustration. It feels like the Cardinals knew about a lot of big things before the draft that none of us did, which is how it works. They knew about D-Hop being suspended, so of course we trade that pick for Marquise Brown. I think that trade might have happened anyway, even if D-Hop wasn't going to get suspended or something like it. So yes, it is frustrating when the best center in the draft would have been there. He's picked at 25, I think. He would have been there at 23, knowing what might happen. But that being said, especially back then, I would imagine it was a what if and a maybe. And do you then spend your first round pick on a maybe? So I see the decision making there, and I get it. I do. I kind of think I agree with Mono in here, Mono 187. Maybe they did think that they were gonna get Cam Jurgens in the second. He did go at 51. They might have had other plans later in the draft that didn't work out. But yes, it is definitely frustrating that Linderbaum has all the right tools, it seems like, to be really, really good, and we could have had him and we don't. But again, I don't know.
It's a cluster.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to say to a couple folks, Jim Wells, appreciate you being here. He's okay without the big moves. Use what you got. They got to show what they have. They might play out to be good, but you have to be willing to take a chance. I want to say hey to the cattle dog, Isabel's total bust. I mean, I think that's a pretty consensus opinion, sadly.
Yeah.
Lance, appreciate you being here. Lance says, what's our good fellas? What's up? Yeah, right. The cards fellas, the good fellas. All right. So when it comes to the I'm completely on board with everyone that listen. I'm never going to fault a player for their decisions to retire, their decisions about their life and money and family. So no animosity towards him. If he told them, it sounds like the rumors, he told them they knew. So, he gave them the inside info, so to speak. I just still don't mind the Hollywood Brown trade in and of itself. Receivers went off the board like crazy. A stat, again, I'm going to cite Kyle Odegaard tweeted this out. Another stat that he sent out this week. And I think I'd seen this before too. Kyler Murray, like it was something to the effect of on like 19% of his dropbacks, no one was open.
Yes, I saw that.
Okay. Now I get that that's also a Kingsbury thing too, right? In terms of the play calling and scheming, but also, they had some injuries at receiver or the Hopkins injury, and later down the season, there were some issues with receiving, playing a lot of backup receivers and such. So, and this is a passing league. You see with how much teams are valuing receivers in the draft. I mean, guys like that we didn't think would be guys like Jahan Dotson that I remember in mock draft Monday, like we were trying to make our peace with, well, maybe the Cardinals, man, Jahan Dotson, I thought he was a second rounder. Well, the Cardinals like him. I guess they'll take him. If they take him, I'll just talk myself into Jahan Dotson. He was gone before they picked, right? Like
everyone was gone.
Everyone was gone.
Didn't even get close.
Right. So like, it's a passing league. Receivers matter. They're becoming increasingly valuable. They got a receiver who I think is going to be better with Kyler than he was, with Lamar. He a receiver he likes. I don't mind that trade. It does bother me they didn't do something to address center. Sounds like maybe they would have gone with Juergens if he was there. He wasn't there. Maybe they should have traded up to get him in that, give up a middle pick to get him, to move up to get him. But they didn't do that. So why didn't they bring in a free agent center much sooner? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's funny. Like the guy I wanted them to take back in free agency, the guy that was it Detroit who signed him, Ted Karras, and ends up that would have been a great signing because he could have been center or guard. So the fact that they didn't sign someone, to me, if they had signed someone like Treader or Paredes, and they still could, right? But the fact that they didn't do a move is concerning. I don't necessarily feel like it needed to be drafting Linderbaum, and it didn't need to be drafting Juergens. But they needed to do something. We'll see if they do, right? So
my thing is this. A lot of those teams were more valid in their efforts to get their wide receiver because all those teams that drafted a wide receiver, and you can even include the Eagles on this because they had a true need for wide receiver. The Cardinals basically traded a first-round pick for a 6-game rental, and then it's completely unknown if he's even going to be a main factor in the offense. So it still boggles my mind. Hollywood Brown is not worth a first-round pick. That was just, supply and demand in draft night. Hey, we're going to milk this for all it's worth. And I think Eric DaCosta is the Ravens GM right now, or whoever it is. Props off to them because he just Steve Keim.
I mean, Ravens have had a great front office since Ozzie Newsome was the GM.
Oh yeah,
and, they are one of the best front offices in terms of how they manage the draft and things. I have a lot of respect for how they do what they do. So,
yeah. Ravens are top of the game on draft night.
Yeah, absolutely. What the Ravens do is they sit there and they kind of wait, and then they get to their pick, and there's a guy who slides. Was it Hamilton? I think this year was it Kyle Hamilton? Was that one of the guys? Like a guy that
Overrated.
was talked about. Well, okay, but he was talked about as a top 5 pick at one point. And where did they get him? Right, kind of late. So they just sit there and wait, and then they get those guys that fall that shouldn't have fallen. Right, so.
I want to respond to a comment from Nutsack. You can't trade for an even decent offensive lineman. Laramie Tunsil, most recent example.
I think you can always trade for a good or great receiver, but Tunsil
traded for Rodney.
They gave up a lot for him. We traded for Rodney Hudson.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I necessarily buy that one. Yeah, but I would say here's what I would say though. It's easier to find it's easier to find offensive linemen in free agency than it is receivers. Because look at right now, we're talking about we need a center. JC Treader, Paredes, there are 3 guys in free agency that I would feel pretty comfortable with as starters right now who are still out there. I don't feel that way about receivers. So I don't know. I know you're an offensive lineman there, Aaron. I'm not trying to throw even more shade at you, but I think there's so many offensive linemen out there, and you can find guys that serviceable starters even this late in the game. So I don't know. But yeah. Let's see if we've got any other questions. We're probably going to wrap up soon, but if you got a question you want us to answer, get it in the chat. We'll maybe take a few more. Let's see. I'm sure we'll gain cap space. Hudson retires and use that. Yeah, I think we'll gain, because some of it's guaranteed. I think we'll gain like $5 million in cap space.
Yeah, 10.85 guaranteed off of that 3-year extension.
Okay. And so, yeah, I think what I saw of the part that we would gain after that, it would have been about $5 million gain. So that'll use some of that. They brought in Billy Price. Nothing came out. Wonder why. Well, because
the price wasn't right.
I see what you did there. Price had a really bad first couple years, played a little better last year. I'm not sure why. Maybe it was the price. Maybe, I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah. I wouldn't feel great about, there are guys that like better as a starter than Price out there. I don't mind him as a backup, but yeah. Let's see. Let's see. We got a question here. All right. Has it been announced that Hudson is retiring? It has not. It's still speculation, right? So yeah. All right. Do we have any other questions or anything you all see? If not, we'll wrap up.
I mean, I want to respond to Elwin saying, I don't think people are undervaluing it. I just think people are kind of, it is what it is. Maybe with a slight tinge of overrating it a bit, because we haven't seen them in this system yet. We haven't seen them, other than, throwing around in practice and whatnot. And, I hope it works out. I really do, because, I've accepted this and, I want it to work out, more so now than when, instant reaction. And that's the thing. We're going to have to see how it's going to work in the regular season, because if last year is an indicator at all, Kyler Murray is not going to play in the preseason, and hopefully he doesn't really have that just nightmarish and almost lethargic performance against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2 on primetime, who are ironically the first regular season opponent.
Yeah. I think some folks in the national media are undervaluing it. I'm seeing just a lot of folks are poo-pooing on Hollywood Brown and thinking, just that it wasn't a good trade, or not. He's not going to necessarily be all that impressive here or whatever. And I don't know. I think they're maybe locally we're not, but I do think some of the national media is. Now, Cattle Dogs, what did y'all think about the Benjamin story? So I'm assuming you're talking about that Cliff Kingsbury has been kind of talking him up. Kyler, since you are the site manager, site expert for the Devil in the Details, is it?
Yes, Devils in Detail, covering everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Yes, I put up a story this morning about it, actually. So the main gist, Cliff Kingsbury, in a lot of his talks with media recently, and all unprompted, has had a lot of really good things to say about, Benjamin, the type of work that he's put in the offseason. The famous pull quote that you've seen across Twitter and places like that is Cliff Kingsbury saying that Benjamin looks like he could be a starter in the NFL. So that's good news for both ASU fans who remember Benjamin having those great 2018-2019 seasons, but that's good news for Cardinals fans too, because that's another draft pick working out, if that tends to be the case. So Benjamin being on the right track to actually have a role this year, to be active in the games. He wasn't active in any of the 16 games his rookie season. So any more playing time that he can get, I think he's a really great 1-2 combination with the style of running of James Conner. So if he does get that part-time role, I think that's great.
Aarron, what do you think?
I mean, I've said it before because, James Conner, I even wrote an article too that I put up on Raising Zona. James Conner has such a big target on his back. You're going to need to find a way to diversify the offense and also not use him as a workhorse because he does have an injury history, and he even missed a couple of the games down the stretch last year. I think he missed the Seattle game, which probably would have cost him, or which probably what cost him the single season touchdown record for the Cardinals. But hopefully he gets more playing time and he can prove it. I kind of want to segue off of that and talk about a little bit fantasy football here in terms of people who you should draft. The only in my opinion, your only lock from the Cardinals in fantasy football this year would be Kyler Murray. After 6 weeks, do not play any wide receivers because it's going to be someone different every week. You don't know if it's going to be a heavy run game. I wouldn't trust it. And that's been my strategy for a long time. I've hardly drafted any Cardinals player except for Dan Arnold really late one time. But that's what I would say off of that comment from Mono.
Okay. As far as the Benjamin story, I've watched the press conference videos and the quotes from Cliff. So I've kind of I've listened to kind of what he said and how he said it. And we talk about sometimes about coach speak and things that coaches just say, and and coaches are going to say certain things just because that's what they say. But it didn't feel like coach speak when he was talking to Benjamin. Yeah,
agreed.
It felt like he was being specific and saying, "Listen, no one's had a better offseason than Benjamin." Like if it was just coach speak, he'd say, "Yeah, he's putting the work, looks great." It'd be something very generic. Like he's done it twice, and he just really made that point in that I've seen. So I think it's legit that he's looked good. I think it's legit that Cliff likes what he sees. I don't think there's any kind of smokescreen games going on with this. Now, how much will we see of him on the field? Who knows? There's a lot of guys in that backfield, but I feel pretty good about that. This is a good question. What does everyone think of Dan Orlovsky not putting Kyler in the top 5 quarterbacks 25 under? So if you didn't see it, Dan Orlovsky has his top 5 quarterbacks ages 25 and under. And Kyler, I'm sorry.
Do you know what the list was?
Here I do know that let's see. I know Herbert was on it.
Joe Burrow.
Trevor Lawrence and Lamar Jackson were on there.
Wow.
And I think sorry, I'm looking this up. I think the name that really for people was just really was Trevor Lawrence. Mac Jones, I think, too. And, listen, I think that those guys have potential, no doubt, but like Lawrence had a rough rookie season. And so to have him over Kyler, right? And his argument, okay, so it's number 1, Joe Burrow, number 2, Lamar Jackson, number 3, Justin Herbert, number 4, Trevor Lawrence, number 5, Mac Jones. That was his list.
My only issue with that is Mac Jones. I'm sorry, you can't throw 2 passes in a critical, crucial divisional game, regardless of the weather, and be regarded as like a legitimate quarterback. I don't have a problem with Trevor Lawrence. I think I'm just going to cut it straight. He's got better leadership qualities than Kyler Murray, at least outwardly, that we see. And I think, Lawrence is a perfect fit over there. And that's the thing. Lawrence fits over there. He's that guy. It's never been a thing. Over here, Kyler Murray, still question marks, whether we like it or not. So Mac Jones, I don't want to have a problem with.
What do you think, Kyler?
Well, I don't have a problem with Joe Burrow simply because he put it out on the field. He proved it. He took his team to a Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson, I want to have a problem with it because I think Kyler Murray is a more talented quarterback than him, but he has won MVP, so you also can't fight that too much.
Jackson's solid.
Herbert is where I really get into that. I don't know, because Herbert and Murray, I feel, are on the same level of a young quarterback that are, if not already elite, going to be elite incredibly soon. Trevor Lawrence and Mac Jones is an actual crime to have them on this list ahead of Kyler Murray. That is ridiculous. Trevor Lawrence had a bad rookie season, and yes, it's because he went to the worst team. Kyler Murray also went to the worst team from 2018, and he took that team and he's taken them to the playoffs. Mac Jones, like Aarron said, threw 2 passes in a critical win-or-go-home situation. And he has some good qualities. He plays a good Bill Belichick style of quarterback that works for New England. But as a better quarterback, I'm never going to get behind that. Herbert and Murray, I'm going to be okay with them being on an equal level. And Jackson and Burrow have the accolades to back them up. But Lawrence and Jones is ridiculous.
So would you say Trevor Lawrence had a bad season if he only threw just about 300 yards less than Murray? Yes, the touchdowns were cut in half, but Lawrence was able to, put them in some games to win. I mean, they beat Buffalo. I mean, yeah, that was a 9-6 game, but
I don't think Trevor Lawrence is a bad quarterback, but to take where Kyler Murray is right now as a quarterback, it's not even close. That if we were comparing Trevor Lawrence in his rookie season to Kyler Murray in his rookie season, it might be a different conversation. But Kyler Murray took a team 7-0, 10-2, and to the playoffs, and Trevor Lawrence had some rookie struggles on a really, really bad team with a bad culture. So I'm not saying Trevor Lawrence is a bad quarterback, but I think it's bad to put him on a list above Kyler Murray right now.
Yeah, like I obviously Burrow have no problem with him where he put him with what he's done. His future is very bright. Lamar Jackson, I think Kyler's a better thrower of the football than Jackson, but Jackson has an MVP, and I'm not going to argue with someone who wants to put him ahead. He's earned that. Kyler has to show that. Herbert has been really good so far. He looks like a star in the making. 5,000 yards, 38 touchdowns last year. I'm not even going to have a problem with Herbert if you want to put him ahead of Kyler Murray. He belongs on the list for sure, right? Mm-hmm. The top 5. I'm with you. And I don't mind Mac Jones on the list at number 5. He's good in that system. He had a good rookie year. Lawrence has the talent potential, right? And maybe he will eventually get on this list. But right now, Kyler Murray belongs on this list. And, Robert's here kind of pointing out, and I've heard this, that in an interview that Orlovsky's rationale is for him, the list was the 5 quarterbacks I'm taking under 20, top 5 I would take right now to start a team under 25. So he is projecting what he thinks Lawrence will be. I understand that, right? And his argument is, Dan asked, when has Kyler improved? Keyshawn Johnson's best reply, what has Max and Lawrence done to get on that list? So, like, here's the thing with Kyler. Like, I know some people have said, oh, well, Kyler hasn't improved enough. Well, for a couple things. One, sometimes the improvements aren't always in the stat sheet, but like he's gotten better at like picking up blitzes. Like you saw him like on a couple of his 4th down touchdowns and deep passes he threw we're reading blitzes. And there's some things he has gotten better at. There's still some room to grow. But even at that, like, sometimes I think Kyler Murray gets a little bit dinged because he had such a good rookie year. Like, he came in ready to compete at the NFL level, won Rookie of the Year, had a good rookie year, right, as quarterbacks go, and, has gotten a little bit better each year, but maybe hasn't taken the huge jump everyone expected based on what they saw the rookie year. And, maybe he was closer. Maybe he came in with a higher floor, right, than other quarterbacks, but I don't think you hold that against him. I mean, when he was healthy in the first half of the year, he was like front runner for MVP. He's got to figure out how to stay healthy. They got to figure out how to continue that, right? So yeah, we're talking Orlovsky. We're running him a little bit through the through the ringer. But
I mean, I've for a lot of the stuff that Orlovsky has, like, he has some moments and he has some good content, but I just still am just baffled that a quarterback from the 0-16 Lions team who run out of the back of the end zone is ESPN's main guy. Like, I'm sorry, it's just like, it doesn't make sense. Like, that's the best you could find.
I mean, I think I don't mind Orlovsky normally, but right.
I don't mind it either.
Yeah.
But he also had another list a few weeks ago that were, I don't know how many it was, maybe 5, like 5 quarterbacks that will win you a game and 5 quarterbacks that like won't lose you a game or something like that.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray was on neither of those lists.
Yeah. He does not think highly of Kyler Murray for some reason. And like,
well, I mean, him not being healthy doesn't help his cause.
It doesn't, but like that happens. But here's the thing, like, I know Kyler got banged up last couple of years, but Kyler Murray has missed 3 games. He didn't start a game the year before, but he did play some. So even if you want to call it, he's missed 4 games in, thus far in his 3 years. Okay. Like, that's not like a crazy inordinate number of games to miss due to injury. Right. It's more than you'd like, but like, people talk about Kyler as being like this totally like as though he's made of glass. And I mean, he's been banged up. He missed 3 games. Part of that, though, they were playing it extra careful with him because, I think if they were needing to win, they did well during that 3-game stretch. They were at that point in the year still, number 1 seed. I think he could have played earlier if they needed him to, but they waited till the bye. I think we're overstating the injury deal with Kyler thus far, in terms of his injury history. So I don't know. But yeah, for whatever reason, Orlovsky doesn't like Kyler. I don't know. And Keyshawn Johnson doesn't either.
No,
and
Keyshawn's the bigger hater of the Cardinals.
But he actually defended, right? It's shocking to see Keyshawn Johnson who hates Cardinals. He was defending Kyler. That's how bad it was, right? So yeah, anyway. Do we have any other? I don't see any other recent questions in here. But I think we hit on a lot of interesting topics. We hit on Hudson. We hit on the Kyler Murray thing with Orlovsky. We had our players who are going forward or backwards. So I think we're going to kind of wind this down. We went a little bit extended because the gentleman I'm hanging out with had a little more time tonight. So we went with an extended Q&A. So Aarron, being the birthday person, right? And, for anyone who missed it, we had some wonderful pictures birthday, baby pictures of Aarron. Again, his beard game has been on point since he was 1. His first birthday, a later birthday with the piñata, and then happy it's almost your birthday. So if you missed that earlier, we've got Aaron's in the house with a birthday. Aarron, give us your parting thoughts. Let people know where they can find you, and anything you want to say to the good folks in the chat as we head out.
Yeah, my personal Twitter handle is right there. That's my more sports one. I also am site expert at Raising Zona. Would really love to see you guys reading that, or even just a share or even a like of the Twitter or the Facebook. Would be greatly appreciated. Trying to grow that and just make sure that you have, another Cardinal source to get your content from, because we don't want to be the only thing you read. We want to be the best thing that you read. So that, and I will say just be ready to have a contingency plan if Rodney Hudson does retire, and what that does for your expectations going forward.
For sure. Kyler, same deal, buddy.
Well, same thing as always. My Twitter, I think, is down in the description below, at @azcard_birdseye. I'm really active there talking about Cardinals. Like Aarron is the site expert for Raising Zona, covering the Arizona Cardinals. I'm the site expert for Devils in Detail, covering the Arizona State Sun Devils. So if you want to head over there and read some stuff, like I mentioned earlier, there's a recent piece about Benjamin, those comments from Kingsbury. So I try to work in some of the old Sun Devils who are in the NFL now, see what they're up to. So if you're interested in that, please go ahead and read some of my stuff there. Right now, I'm doing it alone. If anyone is interested and loves their Sun Devils, because I saw some forks in this comment section, forks up. If you want to have your opinions heard on the Sun Devils, you can always get in contact with me on Twitter, and I can help set you up, and you can be a writer on the site with me. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So great as always.
Yeah, these guys do good work. They've been at the grind for a while, so definitely support them in their writings. And real quick, all of you in the chat, I really appreciate seeing all the really wonderful comments. Really, we appreciate you all so much. The really thoughtful support of the channel. You guys definitely who are here and hang out with us and are part of this community definitely make this enjoyable for us. Very rewarding for us. So just want to thank you, everyone who's here, who had all the comments and questions. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, I see we're making Aarron laugh a little bit.
Paul G, you got some killer comments.
He's got some zingers going. Yeah. So thank you all for being here. It's been a lot of fun kind of going a little, some extra innings with y'all, hanging out, talking Arizona Cardinals. So, you'll see us next week, same time, doing our thing. So until then, go Cards, everyone. Have a great night. And I'm going to do as I always do, which is throw up the shout outs for the channel members who support the channel. So I want to thank everyone there. So we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
See you guys.